the Law of One Breakdown channel. Have you ever wondered what the raw material actually says about Jesus, free will, sexuality, and even hair? Each week we go straight to the original sessions and explore one topic through the pure wisdom of the Law of One. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy this subject. Let's begin. Hello, in this episode I'm going to be talking about the 10 Commandments. I think you're going to be surprised at what Ra has to say about the 10 Commandments. And the first time I read it, quite a few years ago now, I came across these sessions and it made me laugh out loud. So I hope you enjoy this and let's get started. Now I'm going to give the tiniest little snapshot thumbnail of what is said about the 10 Commandments in the Bible. And I went to quite a few sources other than the Bible itself because I don't actually have one, but this is what they pretty much all said, that God met and spoke with Moses, telling him why he had rescued Israel from Egypt. And God had chosen the people of Israel to be his treasured possession. Israel would be made into a holy nation of priests for God. And then one day, God called Moses to the top of the mountain, which was Mount Sinai. He gave Moses the first part of his new system of laws for the people, the 10 Commandments. These commandments summarize the absolutes of spiritual and moral living that God intended for his people. Okay, and so with that said, that's what most Christians and believers in the Bible think what happened with Moses on Mount Sinai. And let's just see what Ra has to say about it. Okay, Don starts out in session 16.15 by asking, can you tell me the origin of the 10 Commandments? And Ra says, the origin of these commandments follows the law of negative entities impressing information upon positively oriented mind-body-spirit complexes. The information attempted to copy or ape, which is imitate. I had to look that up because I know what ape means as far as a monkey goes, but I didn't actually know what it meant. So it means imitate positively while retaining negative characteristics. And anyone new to the Law of One, when Ra says mind, body, spirit complexes, Ra's talking about people, human beings on planet Earth. Okay, in the next couple sessions 16.16 and 17, Dawn asks, was this done by the Orion Group? And Ra says, this is correct. And Dawn asks, what was their purpose in doing this? And Ra says, the purpose of the Orion Group, as mentioned before, is conquest and enslavement. This is done by finding and establishing an elite and causing others to serve the elite through various devices, such as the laws you mentioned and others given by this entity. And anyone new to the Law of One, again, the Orion Group are a group of negatively polarized extraterrestrials from the Orion star system who came here, I want to say 3,600 years ago. I could have that wrong, but somewhere in that ballpark, maybe 48,000, or not 1,000, but 4,800. But anyway, they came here, and that particular negatively polarized group, their conquest is to enslave. And interestingly, Ra also calls them the Crusaders. And if you think about the Crusades here on planet Earth, they were done in the name of quote-unquote God, but in fact, it was really a terrible time in history of, slaughter, really. And just a little side caveat, not all, in my opinion, negatively oriented groups or planets or extraterrestrial folks, not all negative ones have the purpose of conquest and enslavement, in my opinion, because I've read other books, not the Law of One, who describe extraterrestrials are channeling through and describing how their planet evolved. And by all intents and purposes, they are negatively polarized, but they were not hell-bent on conquering other planets or peoples. They were just very, very much self-centered to the point of doing certain things to their own bodies, to
to try to progress, which ultimately backfires. So I don't believe that all negatively polarized groups out there are just hell-bent on enslavement. Okay, in session 16.18, Don asks, was the recipient of the 10 Commandments positively or negatively oriented? And he's talking about Moses, and Ra calls Moses something else, probably more apropos to what his name really was back in those days, but you'll see in a second. Ra says the recipient was one of extreme positivity, thus accounting for some of the pseudo-positive characteristics of information received. As with contacts which are not successful, this entity vibratory complex, Moishi, Moses, did not remain a credible influence among those who had first heard the philosophy of one, and this entity was removed from this third density vibratory level in a lessened or saddened state. Okay, and it continues on session 1618. Having lost what you may call the honor and faith with which he had begun the conceptualization of the law of one, and the freeing of those who were of his tribes, as they were called, at that time-space, which I actually think Ra means space-time, but that's another conversation. So you might be wondering, well, why are the 10 Commandments considered a negatively brought through bunch of commands? And it's because it literally takes away enslavement. By its very nature is taking away someone's free will, and by having these rules from God that you shall not do this and you shall not do that and you shall not do this and shall not do that, it's infringement on free will, and that's all there is to it. And you might think, well, thou shalt not kill is a good one. Well, yeah, killing is illegal here and whatnot, but at the end of the day, people still have the right to choose what they want to believe, what they want to worship, what they want to do with their lives. And having commandments by a quote-unquote God that people fear, for the most part, back then it seems like, is an infringement on free will. Okay, in session 60.17, Dawn asks, I don't know if this question will result in any usable direction, but I think I must ask it. What was the Ark of the Covenant, and what was its use? And Ra says, the Ark of the Covenant was that place wherein those things most holy, according to the understanding of the one called Moishi, again, that's Moses, was placed. The article placed therein has been called by your peoples 2 tablets, called the 10 Commandments. There were no 2 tablets. There was one writing in scroll. And it goes on to say, this was placed along with the most carefully written accounts by various entities of their beliefs concerning the creation by the one Creator. This ark was designed to constitute the place wherefrom the priests, as you call those distorted towards the desire to serve their brothers, could draw their power and feel the presence of the one Creator. However, it is to be noted that this entire arrangement was designed not by the one known to the Confederation as Yahweh, but rather was designed by negative entities preferring this method of creating an elite called the Sons of Levi. Again, another way folks were manipulated into thinking they're doing the good thing and worshiping the one God and having these rules that the one God says, but actually being used by the negatives for more enslavement of, quote, elites towards the non-elites. Well, that's all I have for the slides. There weren't many, but I came across it again, and I thought, well, I'll just make a little short video on the 10 Commandments. And I hope it didn't offend anybody out there that absolutely believes the Bible without any question. That's not my aim at all. This is just the law of one, the raw materials explanation of what the 10 Commandments are or were. Okay, well, as always, I hope you enjoyed this, and take care, everybody.